Anna is in danger.
She's an actress.
She's chosen.
Pourquoi tu me mens? Tu crois que ça me fait pas plaisir de savoir que t'es enceinte?
S'il te plaît.
Non, mais c'est vrai.
Harvey denies any allegation of assault.
Will you give me just one chance to talk to you?
Are you sure that this isn't just young women who want to sleep with a movie producer to try to get ahead?
Hello, and thanks for your company for this week's film show with our guest critic, Emma Jones. Hello.
Hello.
Now, you're starting with something wondrous for us.
Indeed, it is The Wonder, and it's one of my favourite films of festival season so far. So it's played in all the major film festivals and has been nominated for 12 British Independent Film Awards. And the reason why it is The Wonder is, I think, mainly down to Florence Pugh. I don't know what you think, but I think she's one of the best young actresses working in the English language at the moment. She elevates everything she does.
She's a pleasure to watch, isn't she?
She's just amazing. I mean, she even elevated the very overhyped Don't Worry Darling. So she's absolutely brilliant in this. So the story's set in rural 19th century Ireland just after that devastating potato famine. And Florence Pugh plays a young nurse, Lib, who's sent to watch over and examine a young girl, Anna, who, despite apparently not having eaten for 4 months, seems to be doing remarkably well in the circumstances. So this is the adaptation of a book called The Wonder by Emma Donoghue, and you may know her because she also wrote Room, which also became a very, very successful film. And it is based upon real-life Victorian stories of so-called fasting girls. And it's one story in particular of a Welsh girl, and she died of starvation in the 1860s.
OK, well, let's take a look at The Wonder, which is out on Netflix this week.
May I ask, gentlemen, no one has told me what precisely is wrong with the girl.
Anna O'Donnell doesn't eat.
How long exactly has it been since the last time the girl ate?
4 months.
Right. I mean, what Florence brings to, that was my experience, to the set, like you start filming and the level is here.
Do you know the dangers of a prolonged fast, Anna?
I don't need to eat. I live in manna.
The whole idea of Nightingale nurses was that they were the very best of what they, even as humans, they were seen as angels. And so the idea of this very proud woman who has a lot on her CV to come and help this village, and then this village doesn't want her, and she just has to sit there and watch.
Jesus, my Saviour.
I am begging you, you must stop the watch.
It was a terrible mistake to bring a nurse here, an English nurse.
It does look fascinating. And the director is Chilean filmmaker Sebastián Lelio. Tell us about him.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's really come to international prominence over the last 5 years, I'd say, ever since he won multiple awards for his movie about a transgender woman, A Fantastic Woman. And there's also lots of other great turns in the movie. For instance, Tom Burke puts in a really good little part as an investigative reporter. The young actress who plays Anna, her name is Keela Lord Cassidy. She's fantastic as this sweet, pious, pliant little girl, but you know, this is Florence Pugh's movie. She's really in every scene, and she's great playing this Nightingale nurse, as she said there, really, who's tough but determined to try and find out, you know, is this really a miracle, or is something very, very sinister going on? And I think that's what Lelio does very well. He imbues the landscape with this ghostly atmosphere. And so you've got to find out the end of the story, basically.
OK, well, can't wait to watch it, The Wonder. Well, now to a film we've heard a lot about, the movie that looks at the uncovering of one of the biggest scandals in Hollywood history. Let's take a look at She Said.
We're from the New York Times. I believe you used to work for Harvey Weinstein.
People have tried to write this story. He kills it every time.
Harvey denies any allegation of assault.
Will you give me just one chance to talk to you?
Are you sure that this isn't just young women who want to sleep with a movie producer to try to get ahead?
You have to imagine that every call you make has been recorded and you're being followed.
Can you imagine how many Harveys there are out there?
You want to get me killed.
Wow, it looks fascinating. Can't wait to see that. Tell us about She Said.
Yes, so this is by German director Maria Schrader, and I'd say essential viewing if you're a lover of good journalism, but also, of course, a good journalism movie. And I'd say the most high-profile example of that was 2015's Spotlight, which, of course, won the Best Picture prize. And this is a film starring Carey Mulligan and Zoe Kazan as two real-life New York Times reporters who uncovered the allegations about Harvey Weinstein's sexual misconduct. And what I think is fascinating about the film also is this is the first kind of journalism movie we've seen with female main leads. So I really, really like that. And here's a little bit of Zoe Kazan talking about the movie.
I got a tremendous amount out of getting to learn about how this case was built, how this investigative piece of journalism was built, and that it was brick by brick. It wasn't a single act of heroism. It was persistence and bravery on the part of many people.
So the movie is another one that's based upon a book. This book, She Said, from 2019, by those New York Times journalists, Jodie Cantor and Megan Twohy. And the way it started is that one of them had been looking into allegations around Donald Trump's life. That followed into, there was these allegations about misconduct in Hollywood. And again, what I like about the film is you see the unglamorous pavement pounding that is investigative reporting. Having said that, there are an awful lot of celebrity names dropped into this movie, as you'd expect, including Ashley Judd playing herself, which really works, actually. And another good turn is Patricia Clarkson. She's playing this kind of typical, tough but very supportive newspaper editor, if you really think of Helen Mirren in State of Play, something like that.
And as journalists, we adore a newsroom film, don't we?
That's probably why I'm recommending it. But having said that, I can't pretend that it is anything other than a newsroom drama. It's an exceptionally good one. And I would like to say that Carey Mulligan is so good in this movie. She's so comfortable in her role. I wouldn't be surprised if she did get a bit of a nod in award season to come. What is different about this movie is you do see the two women's personal lives. They both got young children in the film, and that really impinges upon their investigation. It really affects it. I think that's the first time we've really seen the cost, that a woman's career can sometimes bring, and trying to do both of them. And I think it's just such an important movie to bring to the big screen, because the Me Too movement, the Time's Up movement, it not only started the conversation about sexual harassment, but it also was incredibly important at the time about gender inequality within the film industry. So we really haven't seen enough stories about this yet, I would say. One thing to mention about the way the film is made also, if you're thinking that you might see the character of Harvey Weinstein, you really don't. It's kind of a shadowy confrontation, and the action is very much reflected upon Carey Mulligan's face, which I think is an interesting way of showing it. And you never really see abuse, you just see the hints of the abuse. It's a classy way of doing the film.
Okay, already 5 years since the Me Too movement, of course. And just for an anecdote, a former France 24 presenter, Angela Yo, has a very small role in the film, so look out for her.
Wow.
Well, now to our French pick of the week, the heartbreaking Plus que jamais, or More Than Ever.
Yeah, More Than Ever, Plus que jamais. We were talking about Florence Pugh, of course, a moment ago, and I think if there's another actress who I also adore, I think it's Vicky Krieps, and she has a role in this movie. She's got the main role, and I saw her in Cannes. She was absolutely sublime as Empress Sisi in Corsage, which, if you haven't seen that yet, that is a delight yet to come. She got a prize in the Uncertain Regards section for that. And Plus que jamais, More Than Ever, was another film that she had in this section, and she also excels in that. It's directed by Franco-Iranian director Emily Atef. You might know her. She made 3 Days in Quiberon about Romy Schneider a few years ago. A really, really good movie. So the plot of More Than Ever is it's really about anticipatory grief and how you carry on living even though you know that you are probably dying. Krieps plays Hélène. She's in her early 30s. She's diagnosed with a very, very rare condition, and it will take an organ transplant to potentially give her a few more years of life. Her husband, Matthew, is played by Gaspard Ulliel, and that in itself is tremendously poignant because this is actually his last film credit. So they're wonderful to watch, and Matthew himself is trying to be brave and optimistic and there for Hélène, but this is her journey. You know, it's a journey that she can only go on alone by herself.
Well, let's take a look. And this is from Plus que jamais or More than ever.
Et oui, je suis malade. Et je vais peut-être mourir. Mais toi, Audrey, tu vas avoir un enfant. Et c'est magnifique. Mais arrêtez de vous comporter comme ça avec moi. Personne ne sait comment faire face à une situation comme ça. Et moi non plus, je sais pas.
Yeah. This is a beautiful film. It is about living, not dying. And what I find really interesting about it is just that we do see the end of life featuring old couples, but never really young couples. And I think it really shows that as much as your friends and family care about you, if you have got a condition, it's you that has to deal with it. It can be a very lonely trip.
Okay. All right, well, let's end with a film that I loved at Cannes this year. I know you did too.
Yes, I did.
After Sun.
Yeah. This is the debut film from Scottish director Charlotte Wells, and it's been nominated for 16 British Independent Film Awards, so it's very, very good. This is the story of a young dad, I stress young, and his daughter, and they go on holiday together in the mid-90s to Turkey. The film, as you may remember, is full of that Britpop soundtrack of that era. It's great. Now, it is... The young dad, Callum, is played by Paul Mescal, who, of course, has become super famous ever since 2020's Normal People.
A heartthrob, we might say.
Well, he is, yes. All right, he is. Absolutely. He's a great actor as well. And then there's Frankie Corio, who is another superb young actress who plays his daughter, Sophie. And... they're doing all the right things that you expect to be doing on a holiday together, a dad and his daughter, but it becomes very apparent to you, the audience, although not to Sophie, that Callum is suffering from severe depression, and it's a burden that he kind of finds out is insurmountable, really. And then you cut to adult Sophie, and it becomes apparent that After Sun is in fact fragments of memory, some true, some not, about that holiday that they took together, as Sophie tries to piece together, you know, who her dad really was.
Okay, well, I sat down with the actor Paul Mescal and the director Charlotte Wells at the Cannes Film Festival in May. I asked them about Paul's character.
A man who is wrestling, I think, with being a young father in the world. I think fundamentally he's somebody who loves his daughter very much and finds it hard to love himself.
Definitely inspired by my relationship with my dad. The thing about Callum is that's the thing he's best at. You know, it's the rest of his life that perhaps isn't going so well, but he's good at being a father, and that felt really important.
The chemistry between Paul and Frankie is amazing. I think they spent quite a lot of time getting to know each other, so they really do come across as a dad-daughter duo. I think the other thing to mention is Charlotte's direction. I think that, as you'll remember, it's shot in this hazy shimmer, which not only conjures up holidays, but also the unreliability of memory as well.
Okay, Emma Jones, thank you so much. Pleasure. We're going to leave you with that. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Wish we could have stayed for longer.
Me too.